At this particular point in time, the U.S. is engaging Pakistan rather wholesomely. Two top U.S. functionaries are about to set foot in Islamabad. Is it a continuation of the age-old good cop State Department bad cop Pentagon CIA routine, or is it truly a paradigm shift to a more realistic policy strategy in South Asia than hitherto? This new U.S. approach to South Asia appears essentially regional in nature and could see the U.S. engaging Afghanistan, Pakistan and India simultaneously. However, regardless of how the U.S. handles Pakistan, India's primacy in this regional approach will remain unchallenged and supreme. This U.S. regional policy for South Asia is likely to have two major prongs: India-Pakistan and Pakistan-Afghanistan. It is likely to have two main objectives in South Asia where Pakistan is directly involved, albeit in diametrically opposite roles. First, the U.S. would require Pakistan to ensure the TTAHN combines presence on the negotiating table, failing which to launch solo joint coordinated military operations with U.S. forces to eliminate it as a viable terrorist entity in the Afghan-Pakistan region. April. Second, the U.S. will apparently want to obviate military conflicts between India and Pakistan, their conflict-ridden issues notwithstanding. This might presuppose an improbable U.S. mediatory effort between the two belligerents, without which this U.S. policy objective would have scant chances of manifestation, much less success. The U.S. is apparently creating the right operational environment for Pakistan to take on the TTAHN militarily. It has started attacking the TTP Jamaat-ur-Rahman elements in the Nangarhar and Paktia provinces of Afghanistan, which border the Kurram Agency, meeting one of Pakistan's major national security concerns. There are unconfirmed reports that Omar Khalid Khorasani, the leader of the Jamaat-ur-Rahman, and Omar Mansur, mastermind of APS Peshawar massacre, may have been killed in U.S. drone strikes. Pakistan would want similar strikes in Nuristan and Kunar as well to target Mullah Fazlullah and his coterie of terrorists too. By eliminating these Indian proxies TTP Jamaat-ur-Rahman, however, the U.S. will have masterfully maneuvered itself into an advantageous position vis-a-vis Pakistan. As a veritable quid pro quo, it would then ask Pakistan to either bring the TTAHN onto the negotiating table or join the U.S. in joint coordinated military operations against their safe havens ostensibly on Pakistan soil. Else, the U.S. would take on the task itself. In either case, the war on terror will have come back onto Pakistani soil, an apparent fait accompli that Pakistan must prevent at all costs. This renewed war on terror will singularly endanger Pakistan's territorial integrity, the CPECOBOR initiatives and their positive impact on Pakistan's future economy. Its timing and the sequence of events thereof will have severe strategic connotations for Pakistan. This renewed war on terror must under no circumstances precede the completion of the major initiatives of the CPECOBOR in Pakistan, else it will leave them all totally destroyed in its wake. Such an operational environment will, however, meet U.S. national interests in more ways than one. It would tackle the TTAHN problem as well as challenge China's potential emergence as a competing global economic power by indirectly threatening to disrupt, delay and destroy the CPECOBOR initiative altogether. The other U.S. policy objective of cooling temperatures between India and Pakistan would require far more astute diplomacy. The issues between India and Pakistan are almost intractable and would require enormous expenditure in political and diplomatic capital on both, maybe all three sides, to come to practical solutions. India abhors third-party mediation between itself and Pakistan, therefore the U.S. will probably stop short of it. It might, however, nudge both belligerents towards talks or some meaningless proclamations of some form of potential conflict avoidance or a solution, etc. Mr. Rex Tillerson's diplomatic skills will be on test as never before. He would probably want to engineer a major paradigm shift in India's regional policies towards Pakistan and China. Again, two diametrically opposite roles will be demanded of India: peace with Pakistan and increasing belligerence with China. Ideally, it would serve U.S. interests no end were India to move away from being fanatically Pakistan-centric only and to instead become strongly China-centric in intent, word and deed. Therefore, the U.S. drive to build up India's national ego through platitudes like strategic partners for the 21st century, lavishing and thrusting greatness onto it, even calling it a member of the global elite club. General Jim Mattis' statement that the two largest democracies in the world ought to have the two strongest militaries too, must have sounded like music to Indian strategists. The U.S. is aware that close to 8,090% of India's military forces are either deployed or poised against nuclear Pakistan. This restricts India's ability to challenge China militarily in pursuit of U.S. interests in the Asian region at large. India is practically pegged and limited to the subcontinent in its obsessive fixation on Pakistan and is thus unable to unshackle itself to play any meaningful role at the regional extra-regional levels to secure U.S. interests. Mr. Tillerson would like to remedy this situation. This explains, too, the U.S. strategic compulsion to keep Pakistan and its formidable military engaged on its western frontiers with Afghanistan and away from its eastern borders, allowing India relative freedom of action elsewhere in Asia. South Asia is thus at the confluence of a myriad of conflicting and contrasting national interests of global powers like the US and China and regional nuclear powers like India and Pakistan. Afghanistan is an essential part of most diplomacy underway in the region. It remains to be seen how the U.S. Secretary of State manages to pursue U.S. interests in the APR and the larger region without losing Pakistan and by making India truly China-centric. Pakistan will need to safeguard her vital national interests by preventing the restart of the war on terror on her soil, safeguarding the CPECOBOR initiatives and by retaining her relationships with both the US and China. Time for hard decisions, astute and deft statecraft, sublime diplomacy and a relentless single-minded pursuit of Pakistan's national interests, is Nye. The author is a retired brigadier and a faculty member of NUSTNIPCONS. I'm .K846@gmail.com at M846M.